I'm James Henson, and welcome to the Walk Through Open Doors podcast. I have 20 years of experience as a therapist, mentor, and coach, and in that time I've helped countless people recognize the opportunities available to them regardless of their situation, and I've helped them make choices that align with their values and keep them excited about their lives. In this podcast, I'll show you how to walk through open doors, those opportunities that are right in front of you that are affordable, exciting, aligned, and sustainable. Far too often, people miss these moments by focusing on struggle or getting trapped by jealousy and victimhood. My goal is to show you that life doesn't always have to be difficult. Sometimes the right path is right in front of you. Each week, we'll talk about practical steps and mindset shifts to help you act with clarity and confidence. Whether you're a leader, an entrepreneur, or someone looking for change, this podcast will help you step into the rooms you want to be in. All right, welcome to the second episode of Walk Through Open Doors with James Henson. This is a podcast where I like to talk about opportunity, how to assess it, how to seize it, how to find the right opportunities for yourself in your life. It's what drives me. It's the work I do. It's what I think about all day, every day. And so talking about it on here seems like a natural next step. So I often have people ask me how I changed as much as I did as a person. I've been honest in other podcasts. I don't want to go into it in depth here, but my life was a mess for a really long time. Some of it was my fault. Some of it was me reacting to things that I didn't know how to deal with as a young child and as a teenager. But none of it matters because it became my responsibility to sort it out. It was my problem, and I had to figure out what to do with it. And over the years, what I've learned is that when you learn to recognize and assess opportunities in your life, everything changes because you have options. I spent most of my life feeling like I had no options. I spent most of my life feeling like I was trapped and that my life was on a rail. Like there were these old games that we used to play at the arcade where they were shooter games, and like you just kind of like you were on a rail and you just shot things as they came out. And I really that's how I felt my life was. I really felt that my life was pretty much predetermined and that there was just a ceiling for people like me and that I wasn't going to make it very far. And I had plenty of feedback that told me that was accurate. I had a little bit of feedback from people, but mostly people were supportive of me. I've had really good people in my life, my whole life. But I did get feedback from reality that that was the case because of the choices I made and the way I lived. When I learned to start looking for opportunities in every single situation, no matter how bad it was, everything changed for me. And as I've started writing about this more and talking to people about this more, I've recognized 5 mindsets. I call them 5 keys to walking through open doors. And I think we're going to talk about them for the next 5 podcasts. The one I'd like to talk to you about today is, it sounds like a complicated word. It doesn't need to be. But the idea of pragmatism is very important when you are assessing open doors in your life. It's very important when you're looking at opportunities, when you're assessing risk. And like I said, I know it sounds like a big word. It's not. Pragmatism is really just about like realism. It's about dealing with reality as it is instead of how you wish it was. It's not really letting the word should impact your choices and your decisions, because the word should is kind of a useless word when we get down to it. And it's all about doing what works instead of getting caught up in the idea of how things should be and what's fair and unfair and things like that. I do care about fairness. I do care about justice. I do care about how things should be. But I'm not going to let those ideas keep me from doing things in reality. That's what's really important here, is that I would love to be able to fly. That would be cool. I would save so much time each day if I could fly. It would be fun. It would be relaxing. Maybe I feel like I should be able to fly. Maybe, as humans, we should be able to fly. We shouldn't be oppressed by gravity. It would be cool. There's no way around that. But if I get focused on that, not only am I wasting my time because I can't fly and I'm never going to fly, I'm making like my day-to-day tasks, going to the store, going to pick my kids up, just little normal errands. I'm turning them into something that sucks because I'm comparing it to this other thing about how I think things should be. So pragmatism, being pragmatic, is just about looking reality in the eye and thinking, what do I need to do here? What is the best course of action and what's going to work? And then setting things like ideologies and theories and things like those aside and doing what actually works. So our current culture tends to be pretty anti-pragmatic in a lot of ways. We are very, very theory-based. We're very ideology-based. I see people make a lot of decisions based on how they think things should be, and those decisions almost always come back to haunt them. I worked in universities for 10 years, and I saw this all the time. People would go through school and get a degree that didn't have a real high hireability rate after graduation, and then complain when they couldn't get a job. And they would say things like, well, but people should care about this, or this should be important to us as a society. Any civilized society would care about my degree in, 9th century Russian praise hymns. I don't know. Cool. Maybe so. Maybe a good, enlightened, civilized society would care about that stuff. But if that's not the one you're living in, you need to understand that you're going to have $100,000 in debt and no job to pay it off. That's just the way things work. It's like so many things that happen. It's like nobody's doing that to you. It's just the way reality works. If I am climbing up a ladder and I don't secure it properly and it falls, that's just the way it works out. That's like that's not something being imposed on me. So many of the consequences that we experience come from refusing to be pragmatic about our choices at the beginning. I remember talking to another student who she kept applying for jobs like management type jobs and senior level type jobs right out of college because she believed that jobs should count her college time as experience. So she saw herself as having 4 years of experience. The jobs did not. The people with the money, the people who were going to offer the job or not offer the job, did not see it as experience, so she was not being hired. But just because you think something should be a certain way doesn't mean that it is that way. And if you make your decisions based off how you think things should be instead of how things are, you are going to wind up in trouble all the time. It's going to cause you so much trouble at every step. I did this for a lot of years. I did this for a whole lot of years. I got kicked out of college 4 times. I got kicked out of college 4 times because I thought that things like attendance policies were stupid. Well, I'm an adult and they shouldn't be able to tell me where to be. I'm paying to be here. They shouldn't be able to tell me anything. Cool. I believed that all the way to being booted 4 times. Lots of wasted money, lots of wasted time because I was living in the way that I thought things should be instead of the way things were. This is the antithesis of living pragmatically. And if you assess the opportunities in your life through this lens, you're going to wind up in trouble. So if you've worked with me in person or you followed me for very long or you've read my blog, you know that I'm going to talk about one of the words I hate the most, and that's the word should. The word should is a profoundly manipulative word in our language because it kind of like masquerades as having authority that it does not have. So I wear my seatbelt every single time I get in my car. It's automatic. I do it without even thinking about it. I don't do this because I should. I do this because, number one, I don't want a ticket. Tickets are very expensive. I don't want a ticket. I don't like messing with the cops. I don't like messing with all that bureaucracy. I don't like wasting my money on things like that. So I put my seatbelt on. Number two, I have wrecked a car without a seatbelt on, and it was awful. It was miserable. It made a bad wreck into a terrible wreck, and I'm never doing it again. So the word should is unnecessary in me explaining why I wear a seatbelt. I don't need the word should. And what I find often is that if you can't remove the word should from your reasoning for something, whether for yourself or what you're trying to impose on somebody else, you're probably not being super pragmatic. You're kind of bringing in these like X factors that you can't really justify or you can't really validate, but you want them to be part of the equation. So you're kind of shoving them in through the word should. So that's one thing I encourage people to do is take the word should out of the equation. So we all have opportunities all around us. Like there's 1,000 things I could do right now in this moment. I could flip my computer over and quit doing this. I could go upstairs and march out the door and get my car and drive away and never come back. I could go next door and punch my neighbor in the face. I could go throw some rocks at some cars. Those are good opportunities. None of those seem smart. But I also have other opportunities that come my way that are a little harder to dismiss. I have people offer me, job opportunities. I have clients approach me all the time about things they want to work on. And so those are ones I actually have to sort out. I don't have to sort out whether or not I should punch my neighbor or throw rocks at cars. I like my neighbor. I don't want to hit him. And I don't want to throw rocks at cars because the consequences are not worth it. Those are easy. For the opportunities that we're looking at that are a little, that we can't quite tell if they're for us or not, I created these 5 criteria to help us kind of eliminate things. And so for an opportunity to be an open door in your life, for an opportunity to be something that you actually want to pursue, it has to be immediate, it has to be affordable, it has to be exciting, it has to be aligned, and it has to be sustainable. We're going to take a deep dive into all of those after we work through these 5 keys or these 5 mindsets, because I don't want this stuff that I share with you here to be like life hacks and stuff like that. There's so many things out there that offer us quick fixes and say, just do this thing and you'll be fine. And they're all bullshit and they don't work and they don't help you in the long run. If you don't change your mindset, if you don't change the way you see and interact with the world, none of this is going to stick. And so I flipped the order. I was going to do the 5 criteria and then the 5 keys to open doors or the 5 mindsets. But I want to do the mindsets first. I want to do the keys first, because if you don't have these in place, any progress you make, any changes you make are going to be very temporary. It's the difference between the person who starts eating differently and going to the gym because they're going on a cruise in a couple months and they want to look nice for photos versus the person who realizes like, holy crap, I don't feel good. I never feel good. I'm going to die young. I want to be here for my kids. And they change their whole lifestyle. The first one's okay. I mean, maybe you make some good progress, but really, you probably just yo-yo up and down on your health. And that's not good for any of us, and it doesn't stick. The second person who makes a lifestyle change, who changes their mindset about their health, they have the best opportunity for doing something long-term and really making a change. So I want to focus on these first. That's why we're talking about pragmatism today. But when we talk about pragmatism in regard to the 5 criteria, you can see how it fits in. For an opportunity to be immediate, you have to be able to assess whether this is something you can do right now. If an opportunity is 10 miles down the road, that's not an open door for you yet. But you can be pragmatic about it. You can be rational, and you can say, okay, what things can I do right now to make it there? You're not going to try to make that jump all the way forward. You're not going to try to force your way into a job in senior management when you don't have the experience. You're going to be pragmatic about it, and you're going to say, what is my immediate step? Maybe I feel like I have the experience for senior management. Maybe my 22-year-old self thinks I'm smart enough to be up there with people who've done this for 20, 30 years, but they're not hiring me. They don't agree. So I'm going to be pragmatic about it, and I'm going to take the job that is available to me. We have to be pragmatic about whether or not an opportunity is affordable for us. When I talk about affordable, I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about something being affordable mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, every aspect of your life. For you to walk through an open door, for you to seize an opportunity, it has to be something you can afford right now. It cannot break the bank in any of those areas. You cannot do that. If an opportunity requires money from you, and it's going to require you to get your electricity shut off and not make your car payment, in my mind, that's not an open door. That is over leveraging you, and it's going to get you in trouble. And you have to be pragmatic about it, because when we see something new and something's exciting, it can really draw us in. Our emotions can take over, and we can end up making a bad decision. When we talk about something being exciting, I absolutely believe you have to be excited about something for it to truly be an open door, for it to really to be an opportunity for you. Because if you're not excited about something, if you're not excited about the big thing, it's going to be very hard to put in all the time and energy and the work that it requires, and you're going to end up quitting. But we have to be pragmatic in being excited as well. Being excited can really shut down a lot of our critical thinking. And so being pragmatic, I say that if something's going to be exciting, it also needs to be exciting for the people around you who care about you. It needs to be exciting for people who have been down the road and who care about what happens to you and who are invested in you. They have to be excited about it too. If you see an opportunity and everybody who cares about you is telling you, oh, this is a bad idea, you need to be able to be pragmatic enough to step back and say, okay, maybe I'm getting overwhelmed by emotion here, and give it a little bit of time to decide if you're going to try to seize that opportunity or not. When I say that an opportunity has to be aligned, I mean that it has to fit with your values and the things that are most important to you. It has to take you where you want to go as a person. It has to line up with who you are as a person. And this can be really hard when an opportunity is in front of us and we think I can just compromise a little bit. I can compromise my values just a hair so that I can take advantage of this. But when we step back and we approach that with a pragmatic mindset, we're able to recognize that anything that takes us off our values, if we do it long enough, we're going to wind up way over here, and either we're not going to be happy with it or we're not going to be somebody that we're happy with anymore. You see this on movies. People go out to Hollywood or they become a rock star and they slowly move away from their values and they wind up drunk and on drugs, and it's always very dramatic. The thing is, that happens in real life. I've seen it happen to people. You cannot compromise your values for immediate gain of any kind. That's not an open door. That's not a good opportunity. Pragmatism is the line in the sand on that. When you say, well, no, I established these values when in a sober state of mind, I established these values intentionally and over the course of my life. These things have served me for a long time. I'm not going to compromise them for this one opportunity. That's just rational thinking. That's pragmatic right there. And then when we're talking about being pragmatic in regard to sustainability, this is where it can be pretty tough because if you're right on the verge of walking through and it's affordable right now and people are telling you it seems like a good idea, and you've got the mental and the physical and the emotional capacity for it right now. It's right in front of you. It's lined up with your values. And then you project forward and you recognize that, oh my gosh, I can't keep this up forever. Maybe I can afford $500 right now, but $500 month after month after month, that's going to start to eat away at me. Or maybe I have 20 hours to put into this right now. What's that going to look like when I'm tired? What's that going to look like when I'm sick? If something is not something that you can do every day in the long term, it's not an open door for you. It's not a real opportunity because it's just going to wear you down, and eventually you're going to just walk away from it. It takes a pragmatic mindset to understand that and admit that. So you can see where, we've got these criteria for determining opportunities. We've got this criteria for assessing and seeing if they're actually good opportunities for you. And you have to be pragmatic about every one. You have to be pragmatic all the way down the line. You're going to find that each of these keys, they line up with each of the criteria. And if they aren't meeting it, you're probably stepping into something that's going to get you in trouble. I want to be super clear. Our whole lives cannot be pragmatic. We have to be a little irrational. We have to be human in all this. I'm not talking about living your life as a robot. I make unpragmatic decisions in regard to my family all the time. I will do things for my wife and my kids that don't make sense. I will overextend myself for my wife and my kids and for the people I love. I haven't had to yet, but I would probably compromise my values for my wife and my kids. I will give up things that mean a lot to me for my wife and my kids. If I were to lay that out on paper, it doesn't make much sense. And that's where love kind of messes up all the equations. Like when you love somebody, when you love people, you're going to make decisions that are not fully pragmatic, and that's okay. We are not robots. We have to be able to live with our gut a little bit. We have to be able to make decisions from our gut. We have to be able to make decisions based in love. But when it comes to like opportunities, when it comes to those kinds of things in life, we do need a way to assess them in a way that makes it more rational. But I do want to be clear, not everything is pragmatic, not everything is rational, not everything can be put like on a list and turned into math, especially when we're dealing with other people. So going forward this week, as opportunities come your way, big ones or small ones, step back and make sure that you're being pragmatic about it. Look at those criteria and ask yourself, is this something I can do right now? Do I have the resources to do it? Can I afford to do it? Am I excited about this? And is this excitement shifting how I see it? Is this excitement overwhelming my logic and reason? Is this something that's aligned with my values? Am I doing mental gymnastics to try to make myself think that I can do this and still be the person I want to be? And can I do this in the long term? As a therapist, I would tell people to always remember the acronym HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired, stressed. And I would tell people, don't make big decisions when you're in one of those states. One I went and added for the H, hungry and happy. Don't make big decisions when you're too happy. That's where enthusiasm and stuff will make you overextend yourself. That's where enthusiasm will make you do something that's unaffordable, that's unsustainable. In your enthusiasm, you may even convince yourself that you can compromise your values and be okay. It doesn't happen. Compromising our values never leaves us in a place where we're happier with who we are than we were before. And you've got to factor that in. I think that one of the most pragmatic things any of us can do is reach out to other people and seek feedback and seek advice and seek coaching and seek counsel. I do it. I literally texted somebody yesterday asking them about, hey, have you ever considered doing any kind of coaching? Because I would accept that from you. I would love to be a coaching client of yours. I go to therapy. I talk to people. I talk to people older than me. I talk to people who are in industries that I don't know anything about. I'm constantly reaching out to learn more about the opportunities in my life and to make sure that they're good opportunities for me. If you have a cool idea, if you have something that you're thinking of and you're not real sure about it, reach out to me. You can find me at calendly.com/James Henson. I have little 15-minute free discovery conversations because I'm very intentional about who I work with. There are people who reach out to me and I end up telling them like, nah, you really need a therapist, or nah, I don't know anything about this, or this just isn't something I'm super interested in doing. But those 15-minute discovery calls are a really cool way to figure out if we're a good fit and if we want to work together. And we're both kind of assessing each other to see, like, is this a relationship that I want to bring into my life? You've got to be pragmatic about that. If I'm not the right fit for you, I'll try to help you find the right fit. I don't view all this as competition. I don't believe in fighting for my place at the table. I believe that we just let's keep building a bigger table until everybody has a place to eat. And so if I'm not the right guy for you, I will happily help you find somebody else who is, because I just want to see people evolve and do cool shit. That's all I really care about. So it's just calendly.com /James Henson, and you'll see the little 15-minute discovery calls. Holler at me. Let's see if we're a good fit. But in the meantime, make sure you know how to take a step back and look at the opportunities in your life and make sure you're being pragmatic about them. Look at the things in your life right now that cause you suffering. Notice the things that kind of eat at you all the time, and just step back and ask yourself, if I was thoroughly pragmatic about this, what would I do? What decision would I make? And you'll recognize that there are options there. Our emotions cloud them. Our past clouds them. Our culture clouds them. All sorts of things as humans that make us human cloud them. But when we can step back, we can oftentimes find that there are more solutions than we thought. And that's just that opens up our life in a way that nothing else does. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I am enjoying this new direction. I'm having fun writing about it. I'm having fun talking about it. I'm having fun posting about it. You can follow me on Instagram. It's just James Henson Coach. You can follow me on Substack. It's Walk Through Open Doors with James Henson. You can reach out to me on Calendly, like I said. Next time, I was almost going to say next week, but these video podcasts are taking me a little bit longer than the others. Next time, we're going to talk about the second mindset or the second key to open doors, and that's ownership. One of my favorite things to talk about. I think it gets a really bad rap in the world these days because of how people present it, very judgmental, like beat you over the head type thing. We're going to look at it in a very constructive way, in a way that it can change your life in a way that other things cannot. And so I'm really excited about that. I will look forward to talking to you then. Take care.